Is compromise the same as settling? Because I feel like these two words be being used interchangeably, and I feel like compromise means you're accepting that things won't be perfect as long as your key needs are being met. Whereas I feel like settling is when you accept it even if your key needs are not being met. So, did you hear the difference in those two definitions? Because when you conflate the two, I think that line of thinking can make you accept things that you got no business accepting. Like, let's use compromise as an example. Sometimes dating men for looks might mean that you're compromising on money, girl. And sometimes dating men for money might mean you're compromising on looks. Once in a while, you might find that the guy has both. Great. But most of the time, that might not be the case. You just need to decide, what do you value more? I value money more than I value looks, because I value the lifestyle that I want to have with that man more than I value the way that his face looks. I value the way that that man's going to make me feel more than the shape of his eyebrows or how defined his abs are. I value whether we're going to be flying in first class or economy more than I value whether he's 6'4" or 5'11". Now, the thing is, don't get it twisted though. Like, if I find a guy attractive, I can acknowledge that he's attractive. But I hope you can see where I'm going with this, because I know what my own preferences and needs would be in a relationship with a man, it means that I am not swayed by anything that doesn't meet what matches what I need. And also, men compromise too. They just won't tell you. Most married men are compromising because most married men are not married to their dream woman. A lot of these men are managing. They're just patching and settling and managing. They're compromising and they're settling. Because remember what I said about what compromise means. It means accepting that things won't be perfect as long as your key needs are met. Whereas settling means accepting things as they are, even if your key needs are not even being met. You're just desperate, you're just taking whatever you can get. Most men, when they get married, they marry the woman who just happens to be there during a time in their life where they're either being pressured to be married or they just feel like, you know what, I might as well just get married then, because if I don't do it now, then when am I going to do it? And it's kind of awkward now. I'm getting old. My midlife crisis is on the horizon. I need someone who's going to cook and clean and carry my emotional labor and love me regardless of how insufferable I am. So I might as well just get married ASAP to the first woman that seems to be able to tolerate me at my worst. And I'm going to show her my worst as much as I can so I can know that she's marriage material. She's wife material. And that's why most married men cheat. That's why most married men make up the clientele of strip clubs. That's why most married men give women more money than single men. Most married men are unsatisfied, and most married men do not marry their dream girl. They marry the woman who they can just about manage with, because their dream girl will not let them get away with shit. And their dream girl will not be attracted to them. There's a difference in how men treat their dream girl versus how they treat the woman of convenience. So that's why if you're going to be dating a guy, you need to ask yourself if you're his dream girl. Are you his dream girl? If yes, does the way he treats you reflect that? If no, why are you with a man who you're not his dream girl? Why are you okay with someone using you to coast by? Because your time is going, girl. Yeah, his time is going too. But this is your only life. Why would you not want to be with someone who thinks you're their dream girl? Because I would rather be with a man who believes he's had to compromise in order to be with me, rather than being with a man who feels like he's had to settle to be with me. And I'm going to explain why. The reason why I'd rather be with a man who believes that he needs to compromise to be with me is because part of the compromise is going to have to be that he's going to have to be spending a lot more money to be with me, because I'm an expensive experience. I'm a once in a lifetime experience. So the compromise will be that he's going to be having to allocate a lot more financial budgeting towards making me smile. It doesn't mean that he's broke where he's having to allocate the budget, but it's just that he's going to have to be putting a lot more energy into working hard so he can make me smile, because I'm his motivation. If you want to lose me, then stop working hard. That's the compromise. That's the compromise, babe. Nothing in this life is free. Nothing in this life is free. And that doesn't even necessarily mean money. It's more just like, in this life, there's always a trade-off. If you really want the thing that you want, there's always something that you'll trade for it. And you need to decide that whatever you're trading for the thing that you want is worth it. Just like how I used the example of, if you want to date men for looks, that's fine. But the trade-off will be that he might not be a useful person. He may be a hooligan. Okay? He may be wayward. Okay? He may be lazy. Okay? Is that what you want for your life? A lazy, wayward hooligan that is buff and fine? Is that it? Is that the best you can do? Is that really you reaching your potential? By being with somebody who's lazy, wayward, hooligan, but because he's good looking and because his things is big. Is that what you're doing with your life? When you are 50 years old, is his things is big going to be your biggest concern? You need to think for your future. You need to be thinking big, my dear. You need to think for your future. What do you want your future to look like? Because if you can figure out what you want your future to look like, then you can start dating in that direction. And it will mean that when you do come across men that you're drawn to, there are things you're willing to compromise on because they do not interfere with your key needs. Like I said, I don't necessarily need a man to be tall. I don't necessarily need a man to be looking like Broderick Hunter in the face. If that man has got tech engineer money, yeah, and he just wants to facilitate a life for me that is full of ease, and he's someone that is so he just loves me, like he's just my safe space, like I have a soft spot for the way he treats me so well, and the bonus is that he is financially set good, he can be one of my boos. Like he can be shortlisted. That is definitely somebody that I would have in my corner. I don't know if I'm a one man kind of woman. It's just biologically speaking, as a woman, I don't know. Biologically, women are not supposed to have one partner, you know? Biologically speaking, women are supposed to have multiple men, just lavishing them with lovely treatment, foot rubs, gifts. Biologically speaking, you know how men say biologically speaking, they're not meant to be with one woman. That same biology is biology never here. I think biologically speaking, I'm supposed to have multiple men just being my joy facilitators. So a short man can definitely be one of my joy facilitators. I'm okay. Around here, we promote and we encourage diversity. Okay? The roster over here is we pride ourselves on diversity. Okay? Because for an ecosystem to thrive, it needs to harbor diversity. And the ecosystem is this pussy. And the ecosystem is this person that I am, who deserves to have multiple versions of a reality where I am fed, loved, and appreciated. I don't need to only limit myself to one source of joy. Why would I do that when I'm this fine? Doesn't make any sense personally. I don't feel like I need to be with one person. So I don't feel like I have to compromise on my joy. Where I can compromise is in more micro criteria. So for example, like how I just said height, but will I compromise on limiting myself to one person? No, because that interferes with my key needs and my values. Another thing I'll compromise on is like, I don't necessarily need to date a man who's a millionaire, you know, because what you'll find is a lot of millionaires are actually stingy. It's the men who are like in the middle six-figure category, or just men who just have significantly more money than you, yeah. Some of them are not as stingy. It's not about going for the man who has the most money in the world. It's just about going for a man who is generous in a way where his generosity doesn't come with some sort of like small print catch 22 because his generosity is coming from a place where his finances are limited. When a man has money that's always coming in, he's always going to feel confident about being nice to you financially, because that money is going to be replaced as soon as it leaves his hands anyway. So it's not about dating someone who's filthy, stinkingly rich. It's about dating someone who just has that financial abundance and comfort and is confident in their financial abilities. Like, the money they put into you will return tenfold, because not only will he be in a line of work that pays him well, but also he'll have you in his life, and your joy will be his motivation, because he just wants to see that smile on your face more often. Also, I don't care for marriage personally. I'm not even looking for a boyfriend. I'm literally a fairy. I am a woodland creature. Okay. I'm a fairy that has somehow managed to live on Earth for 300 years. Not sure how it happened, but I've been about in it. So I'm not looking to be married. I don't think it's possible to marry a fairy. I don't think fairies have marriage rights yet, but I'm not looking to be married. That is not something that is on my mood board of aspiration. There is no white dress in the picture for me. I would rather be with someone who just puts properties in my name. I'd rather be with someone who doesn't have malicious attachments to money in such a way that when he does gift me money, or when he does give me money, because it doesn't have to be a gift, it could just be that he just wants to play a role of provider in my life because he feels man enough to do that. It doesn't come with this sense of like, oh, because he's done this for me, now he's going to murder me, because he feels a sense of ownership. Not every man is like that. Not every man is like that. And it really do be the broke men who feel a sense of ownership over women, actually, more than the guys who have money. Even though most men who have money are cunts, they're entitled, they're badly behaved, and they think they can get away with whatever they want to. Most men who don't have money come with their own issues anyway. Just men in general are just typically hazardous. They are just a hazardous chemical to expose yourself to. So you know what you're getting yourself into and know exactly what your preferred parameters are. So I don't care for marriage. I'm not desperate. I'm not pressed to have someone's last name. I'm more pressed about having properties, babe. And you can have properties in your name without being married. You can even be married without changing your name. There are modern ways to make your joy happen. And this is your life. You get to write. That's the most exciting thing about this whole conversation, babe. Like, you get to write the story for yourself. You get to decide exactly how this happens for you. You get to choose who plays what role in your life. You get to choose whether the character is going to be killed off and recast. You get to choose whether the season's going to end early. You get to choose if this fucking show gets a reboot. You get to choose. This is you are the director of your life. How amazing is that? How amazing is that? So you get to assign these men roles. And if they don't play the role well, you can fire them and you can cast someone else, because there will always be somebody else more willing and more able to play that role. And you might not replace that person immediately, and that's okay, because your life still goes on even if that man is not there to fulfill that role. So don't be getting people to don't let people scare you into settling, girl. You're better off compromising and knowing that what you're compromising on is not interfering with the life you want for yourself. Like I said, I'm not pressed about dating a man who's as good looking as me. I actually prefer to be the star of the relationship, because you have leverage as a woman. Yes, you heard that correct. I like to be the prettier one in the relationship. I like to be the one who is the twinkly star in the sky in the relationship. So that's why I prefer dating older men, much, much, much older men, because you have to instill fear. You have to, but if you're dating men, they have to be scared that you're going to leave them, because if they're not scared that you're going to leave them, then they're going to throw their weight around and they're going to mistreat you horribly. And it's not about hanging a fear over someone's head and constantly threatening them. The fear of you leaving them comes from them knowing that if they step out of line, someone else will replace them, because that is how firm you are in how highly you hold yourself in regard. And it is representative of how easy it will be for you to walk away from that man, because there'll always be someone else that wants his spot. Because also, like, men generally don't like being with women who other men don't want. You'll be surprised. Do you know how many guy friends I have? Yeah. Because look, I have a very, very good relationship with my guy friends where they feel comfortable to tell me things that they fantasize about, or that they how they see women, because it's never, the conversations are never from a place of judgment. The conversations are from a place of like learning how men think, and them also understanding how I think as a woman. So sometimes men will tell me that they have fantasies of like their girlfriend being wanted by another guy, and instead they are the guy who took the girlfriend from that guy who still wants his girl, like that kind of thing. Like, a lot of men fantasize about that. You'll be surprised. And the reason they have that fantasy is because you are the prize. If your man ain't scared that someone else is gonna whisk you out of his arms, then you haven't instilled enough fear, my dear. You haven't instilled enough fear, and that means you may be in danger. Not danger of harm, but danger of that man getting complacent. And you don't want a complacent ass man in your life, because you're better off single. No man should be complacent. He should constantly be striving to make you feel appreciated. He should constantly be striving to go above and beyond the brief. He should constantly be striving to involve himself in extracurricular activities that will boost the relationship that he has with you. He should. That's how invested and pressed he needs to be. He needs to be fearful, because a God-fearing man is a man who is scared of losing a truly unforgettable, irreplaceable woman. Because the closest thing to God is a woman. And I know that people hate to hear that, but that's reality, babe. Like, the highest form of pleasure a man can feel is through a woman's body. Like, women are literally the gateway to heaven. Can you imagine that this pussy is the gateway to heaven? That's crazy. That's crazy. So if you know you're carrying the gateway to heaven, why letting men get away with shit? That's bare weird. You should be gatekeeping that, love. Gatekeep it. Gatekeep the pussy. Like I always say on this podcast, yeah, pussy is pussy. In the end, it is just a fleshy organ, but it's the idea that you build around your own that makes it different. So what idea are you going to build around your own pussy? Because the idea that I build around my own pussy is that my pussy is a celestial, grippy, drippy, wet, fucking strangling chamber of goodness, and it is not for everyone. And that's the whole point. It can't be for everyone. It's not supposed to be for everyone, because it's so good that it's toxic. Like, you're highly prone to developing an addiction to it. And this pussy will make you spend money, and you'll find yourself distracted. So you better just stay where you are. You're going to have yourself trying to prove that you're not a dusty, bummy ass guy. And in trying to prove that you're not a dusty, bummy ass guy, I will finish your money. So just stay far away. It's for your own good. But I mean it though. I really do mean it when I say that, like, as a woman, you have no business settling. It's men that be settling. And I think it's a big L to be the woman that a man settled for. And that's how I feel about starter wives. Do you know what a starter wife is? So a starter wife is a phrase that we use to refer to the women who men marry when they are like in their early 20s. Obviously, this doesn't apply to every single situation. Yeah. But for the most part, if you and a man marry when you're really, really young, babe, you might be a starter wife. And I might end up marrying your now husband much later in his life, after he has used you for emotional labor and character building. And 5 women later, he finally meets me, and he's suddenly the man that I need him to be, because he's done all that learning on his own, and because women like you have built him, because you were splitting the bill with him, and you was letting him get away with stuff because you felt bad. And now I'm here reaping the benefits 10, 20 years later. It'd be like that though. It's be like that. I'm just saying the quiet part out loud because this is really how it happens, guys. Do not be a starter wife. Do not marry young. Don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to yourself. Look, of course, this doesn't apply to every single scenario, but it applies to most scenarios, girl. That's why men in their 50s are usually more bearable to deal with than men in their 20s, because men in their 50s have either just gone through the the midlife crisis, or they're about to experience it. So they know that they can't really throw their weight around when they're around women who are beyond out of their league. Women like me are beyond out of their league. So they know that they have to use everything they have to impress you, and they have to just do what you say. That's why I believe in going where I have leverage. I'm not going to be dealing with men that are my age because they're going to want to compete with me. And I understand exactly why they want to compete with me, because they're young-minded. I get it. That's fine. But you can do that with someone else, though. I'm personally not interested in that. I'm interested in going where I have leverage and going where I know that I can get my needs met much quicker, because I don't have time to waste. I'm not someone who is necessarily pressed about my man looking like an action man figure. Like, you know, if I come across a fleeting romantic rendezvous with someone who, again, my key needs are met in that fleeting romantic rendezvous, and he's fine as fuck. You know, I've had that before, and it lasted as long as it did until it didn't last anymore. And that was nice. It's nice to have for the memory, but that's not my future. Like, that was never someone I was considering marrying. That was someone that I was happy to frolic with. And I knew that it had a deadline, like there was an expiry date looming, but it was fun while it lasted. But thinking about my future and the long term, I'm not interested. I'm 28, so I'm not interested in like frolicking with small boys. I'm interested in frolicking with men who will financially boost me up and put me on. I want to be with men who are going to improve my life exponentially. They have to be significantly improving my life, or else it doesn't make any sense. It's just kind of just coasting / going backwards. And I can do bad all by myself. Thank you very much. Like I'm pretty much able to sustain myself, whether that's romantically, emotionally, financially. Like, I live a fun life. So for me, I know that I can hold my own in the presence of a man in his 50s, because if you, even 60s, like men be... I don't say this is for everyone though. I am in no way encouraging. If you're somebody who is a people pleaser, you are still scared of anything that represents authority, you have no experience in bossing men around, don't go to this domain. Don't go and be trying to meddle with much older men, because remember that older men are still experienced and they're still smart in their own way. But, you know, when they see fresh young breasts, they're still going to act like a man. If you don't have the mental bandwidth to deal with older men, just be practicing on the men of your age. And as you slowly inch up 5 years higher, 5 years higher, 5 years higher in the men that you're dating in the age group, you start to understand that men are not that complicated. And you start to learn how to throw your weight around as a woman, because you are the prize. You are the powerhouse. You are the sun in the sky, and he is the grass on the ground that grows because of you. So there is no reason for you to be willingly giving him power to hold authority over your life. Willingly let him instill fear in you that you're never going to meet another person like him. Like, actually, your replacement is en route as we speak right now. Your replacement is actually going to be dropping me to my next destination as we speak. So what are we going to do? What's the plan? Guys, I'm being dead serious. I don't have any shame when it comes to that. Nope. Because that's how the women who we look at in our society who have gotten all the things they wanted, how do you think they got what they wanted? Because they were bold enough to ask for it, but they were brave enough to put themselves in environments where they're likely to meet the people who can facilitate those desires. If you know exactly what you want, go where it is. Be prepared. Know how to be someone that is very poised and confident in oneself. If you're not confident, men can tell and they'll take advantage, and especially older men. So that's why I'm always saying, like, dealing with men in general is a hazardous thing to do. Whether they're broke, whether they're young, whether they're wealthy, whether they're older, men are hazardous people. because they're always going to want to take advantage where they see a weakness. That's why you need to work on refining yourself so that regardless of whether that man is your age or much older, broke or got money, you know who you are intrinsically. He cannot take you out of your purpose. He can't talk you out of how you see yourself. You can always walk away and walk into another life with yourself or with someone else. Like, none of this shit is ever that serious. It's never that serious. So with that, I would love to wish you a wonderful rest of your life. And I hope that you give yourself the chance to see what happens if you follow that thought of what if. What if I believed in myself a little bit more? What if I trusted my source? What if I was brave enough to go against the grain that has been assigned to me, and I instead take the path less traveled, and there it is, I end up finding the joy that was meant for me all along, because I wasn't scared to impress people who are going to live resentful lives anyway. Like, everybody's not going to have the same story, unfortunately. Everybody won't have a happy ending. Everybody won't have the outcome they deserve, and that's life. But you have the power to at least influence that outcome to the best of your ability. And you owe it to yourself to use what you have to get what you need. Bye.